So, July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. Now, many of you may be wondering, why do minorities need their own mental health month? April is mental health month for everybody. Well, the reason for this is because our mental health industry does not revolve around minority groups. The DSM-5 and the DSM-5-TR and all preceding paid very little attention to minority groups or other cultures when developing these diagnoses and the symptomology that goes along with them. In fact, those who were studied to get these diagnoses and the traits were generally middle to upper class white ethno-European males. So we don't have an accurate picture of how variants like autism, ADHD, OCD, as well as personality disorders, anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders, how they manifest in minority groups. I've said on this TikTok for quite a while now that I believe neurodivergence, particularly autism and ADHD, came from our indigenous ancestors. Yet, indigenous people are one of the many groups who receive very little research when it comes to mental health. And yet, so many indigenous people go missing every year. So many indigenous people suffer from things like alcoholism and depression and so many other mental health issues. African Americans deal with a lot of mental health issues revolving around anxiety and fear, depression. You can say what you will about police pulling over African Americans, and if they didn't do anything wrong, they shouldn't have anything to worry about. That's not always accurate. There are many assumptions made, subconsciously and consciously, by not only white police officers, but black police officers as well. It's ingrained into us. None of us are free of prejudicial thoughts. I'm not going to go out and completely say racism, but we do have preconceived notions and prejudices based on appearance. Then you have Asians, Asian Americans, Asians in general, specifically Chinese, who are raised among a culture who value, it's almost perfectionism. Many Chinese parents push their children to excel in many different areas. And that's not saying that all of them do, but many do. And it forces those who are being pushed into very stressful lifestyles, very stressful situations. And then you have the Jewish community, who not only had to deal with Nazism and other racial prejudices, but they also have to deal with anti-Semitism around their religion. Judaism isn't just a religion, it's a culture, it's a people, it's an ethnic group. There are so many mental health problems associated with different ethnic groups, different minority groups, that we just don't really know about, or we turn a blind eye to because it doesn't affect us. Now, minority groups, the term minority doesn't just revolve around people of different ethnicities. It also deals with subcultures as well. Particularly alternative subcultures. Those who don't fit in anywhere else. Those who don't feel comfortable among the normies. Excuse me. Those like punks, goths, metalheads, hippies, hipsters. The list goes on and on. These are minority groups because they don't fit into the majority. Oftentimes, subcultures such as goth, punk, metalheads, whatnot, get labeled with depression or anxiety or oppositional defiance disorder because of the way they dress and the music they listen to, and the fact that a lot of them are antisocial. But when we look at them, many people within the alt subcultures are eventually diagnosed with a neurodivergence, autism, ADHD, or ADHD, both ADHD and autism, as well as personality disorders, which are clustered into neurodivergence, along with obsessive compulsive disorders. It's not that they really have a choice in associating with their subcultures. Many people say that, if they don't want to be depressed or this, that, and the other, stop being goth, stop being punk, listen to happier music, wear brighter colors, That's not the way it is. Many people naturally assume that goths are depressed because they wear all black, that they were happy until they went goth, or they went goth because they were depressed. That's not really the case. Generally, goths, punks, metalheads, they're generally very content, very happy people. They were depressed until they found themselves. And that's what a minority group is. People who are closely associated with each other, whether it be by color, religion, or an alternative lifestyle. And yes, LGBTQ is a part of the minority groups. They come together because they relate to each other in some way or fashion. And the mental health industry hasn't begun to study how mental health affects them.